Parking lot at the Dana Thompson Rec Park in Manchester was busier than usual on Thursday morning of August 17th, but not just with cars. Instead, bicycles and their riders formed most of the activity as the 7th edition of the Vermont Challenge got set for its launch. More than 300 riders came from 38 states as well as several parts of Canada to take part in it. One of them was Brandon Strong of Columbus, Ohio, who was making his very first visit to Vermont.
Me and my buddy, we always try and pick a ride somewhere in the United States and go do it. That's challenging, so we picked this one this year. We're going to try and do the long one every day, depending on how we feel. We read an article, I think it was in Cycling Magazine or something like that, and the ride had been written up and it sounded fun, so we decided to do it.
The event began with a procession through Manchester, a warm-up and a prelude to some truly challenging, if also scenic and clearly enjoyable, cycling through the area. The challenge takes place over 4 days. The first 2 stages are the Valley Days, where riders can choose from routes of varying length ranging from roughly 28 miles to as long as 70 miles to navigate courses based out of Manchester, but which circle through Arlington and the Battenkill Valley into New York State and then north to Rupert and Paulet before returning to Manchester. Friday's routes went northwards towards Middletown Springs before winding back through Danby and Mount Tabor to the home base. The action shifted to Stratton on the following 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, August 19th and 20th, the so-called Mountain Days, with rides through the Green Mountains that had the participants riding as far as 100 miles in a circle that took them as far as Cavendish, before swinging back through Chester and Townsend to Stratton. Riders don't have to take part in all 4 days of the event, but can pick and choose which days they'll ride and which days they might not. Ann Euchre from Oakland, Maine was one of them who enjoyed it so much the last time she had to come back for more.
It's my 3rd time riding the event. The first year I rode for 2 days. It was on the way home back from a conference and I found the event. Figured I had to come back for the full thing last year and then back again to do the full thing this year. Initial year, loved that it was a century, loved the climbing. I was passing through. I love the miles that I can accumulate and the climbing feet that I can accumulate over the course of the 4 days. It's great for training.
John Sohikian is the organizer of the Vermont Challenge, and we talked with him and Joe Wagner, a Manchester resident who's been active in helping to build cycling in the region since the formation of a biking task force formed after the Manchester 2020 exercise held 4 years ago.
Yeah, we have about 50 more riders this year than we did last year, which is a good sign. We keep growing every year.
There's always there's various options. There's a longer route and a shorter route each day. They vary a little bit from year to year, but they're great routes and people really enjoy them.
Yep. We did a little tweaking of them to improve, but in general, they're the same as they have been the last 2 years. Yeah. Well, it's not a race. It's really just a recreational event. We try to fashion it in the European tradition, giving people a feel that they're riding a grand tour with a mountaintop finish, a flat finish, and today's stage is a 70-mile route, a 40-mile route, and a 28-mile route. And the long route actually goes all the way through Shushan and Cambridge, New York, and does a big loop up through Pulteney and Paulet and Rupert, and back down through Dorset and back to Manchester. So.
And we start off the day with what we refer to as the Parade of Riders, so we'll ride through town kind of as a little bit of a showcase for what's happening in town.
At the end of the first day, Wagner talked a bit about the challenge and building the sport.
Well, the evolution of the Vermont Challenge happened to time itself perfectly with the evolution of our task force, when the target of that was to try to develop Manchester as a cycling destination and to promote cycling as a tourism activity in Manchester. And we reached out immediately as soon as we heard about the event and embraced it right from the beginning, 100% arms open. And of course, the Vermont Challenge reacted to that quite well because they were excited to have us be a part of that. I know in the past, I'm not sure exactly this year, I know in the past they've pulled people from as far away as Hawaii and Texas. I'm not sure the exact demographics. This year, But the one statistic that I did hear that really excited me is that 32% of the participants this year are women. The reason, what I think is pretty unique about this is Manchester and the area is certainly known as a ski area. So a lot of our tourism comes from activity in the ski areas. I saw cycling as something that would fit the shoulder season. So this is something that occurs not in the ski months, but obviously in the summer and spring, summer, and fall months. So I think it's a perfect complement to what we already have in the area. 10, 15, 20 miles down the road, any direction, you're going to run into some small, charming town that has some facilities like a general store or a place that you can stop and enjoy. So we feel pretty strongly that we live in a very special cycling community, and we are thrilled to be able to share that with other people.
Some 52 volunteers also helped mount the event and helped make it a success. The event also raises funds for the Stratton Foundation and their charitable works, as well as exposing cyclists to the scenery of the area, which may bring them back here again for another visit. Carolyn Blitz of Mountain Media, which publishes Stratton Magazine and Manchester Life, said the event was one that was a good way to expose the region to travelers.
Well, I think it's the beauty of southern Vermont, and the riders certainly have a great time when they're here, and they feel very welcomed by all of the communities where they're riding, and in fact, they make a contribution back to the community. So it's really a great partnership with the Vermont Challenge.
Fellowship and camaraderie are two of the biggest reasons for taking part in events like the Vermont Challenge, many bikers say, and the chance to meet new friends with a similar interest. 4 days of cruising the hills of southern Vermont and parts of neighboring New York State give them plenty of chances to get acquainted. For the GNET TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.